"You're not coming to the wedding." That's all the text said. No explanation. No apology. Just 8 words that ended 27 years of being their son. My name is Jack, and this is the story of how my own family tried to erase me from the most important day of my sister's life. What they didn't know was that I held all the cards, and when they forced me to play them, their perfect little world came crashing down. It was a Tuesday morning in March. I remember because I was sitting in my kitchen, drinking coffee that had already gone cold, scrolling through emails about work deadlines that suddenly seemed meaningless. My phone buzzed. "Mom, you're not coming to the wedding. Lily's family doesn't want you there." I read it once, then twice, then a third time, waiting for the follow-up message. The "just kidding" or "we need to talk." Nothing. Just cold, white letters on a gray bubble. My thumb hovered over the screen for what felt like hours. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears, that hollow sound you hear when you're underwater, when everything is muffled and strange, and you can't quite believe what's happening. Finally, I typed back, "So you chose status over blood." I hit send before I could second-guess myself. Then I did something they never expected. I opened my laptop, logged into the wedding planner account, and canceled the venue deposit. All $2,500 of it. Non-refundable. I closed the laptop and leaned back in my chair, staring at the wall where family photos used to hang. I'd taken them down months ago, after one too many dinners where I felt like a ghost at my own family table. I didn't feel angry yet. Not sad either. Just still. Like something inside me had shifted position and was now watching from a different corner, seeing everything clearly for the first time. They'd done this before. Not as blatant, not in all caps, but I felt it in the sideways glances at family dinners, in the jokes that weren't really jokes, in the way they forgot my birthday 3 years running and blamed the group chat algorithm. But this was different. This was Lily. Lily, who used to build blanket forts with me when we were kids, who cried on my shoulder when her first boyfriend cheated, who called me her best friend brother when she was drunk at Christmas 2 years ago. Or maybe that was never real either. Maybe I'd been living in a story I wrote myself, where being useful meant being loved. Let me tell you how I became their personal ATM. 6 months earlier, it was a Friday night. I was watching Netflix, finally relaxing after a brutal week at work, when my phone rang. Lily, sobbing. "Jack. Oh God, Jack, I don't know what to do." "What's wrong? What happened?" "Zach got laid off. We're 3 months behind on rent. The landlord, he says if we don't pay everything by Monday, he's filing eviction papers." I didn't even hesitate. "How much?" $3,800. "But Jack, I can't ask you to. Text me your Venmo." Within 5 minutes, the money was gone from my savings. Just like that. No questions asked. No payment plan discussed. "Thank you," she whispered through her tears. "Thank you so much. I'll pay you back, I promise." That was the 3rd time that year I'd bailed them out. The first was when Dad accidentally over-withdrew from his retirement fund and needed $5,000 to avoid penalties. The second was when Mom forgot that Lily's bachelorette Airbnb was on my credit card and let the girls trash the place to the tune of $1,200 in damages. I kept spreadsheets, screenshots, not because I planned to use them, but because I needed to prove to myself I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't imagining the slow bleed of money, time, and energy into a family that treated me like their silent donor. But it wasn't just the money. It was everything else. Like the time I spent 6 hours in a thunderstorm fixing Dad's gutters because he was too old to get on a ladder. As I stood there, soaking wet, electrical tape wrapped around my bleeding knuckles, he called up from the ground. "You should get a job as a house husband, Jack. You're clearly not man enough to be the breadwinner anyway." Everyone laughed. Mom, Lily, even Aunt Sarah, who'd driven over to watch the show. When I brought it up later, when I said it hurt, Mom waved me off. "You're too sensitive, honey. He's just old school." Old school? This from the man who locked me out of the house in high school, because I came home wearing eyeliner to a drama club rehearsal. But sure, maybe I was too sensitive. When Lily got engaged, she told me over FaceTime. I was at work, grabbing lunch between meetings, when my phone buzzed with her call. Jack, oh my God. Behind her on the screen, I could see Mom and Dad on the couch, cheering and popping champagne. They'd been there for the proposal. Hell, they'd helped Zach plan it. Even went ring shopping with him. Me, I found out through a pixelated video call, watching my family celebrate in the background while I sat alone in my car outside a Subway. Isn't it amazing? Lily squealed. We're thinking next fall. Oh, and Jack, you're going to help with everything, right? You're so good at this stuff. No. Oh, I should have seen the pattern then. But part of me, mental, the part that still believed in family, thought if I just helped enough, maybe they'd finally treat me like I mattered. So I said yes. Over the next 8 months, I became their unpaid wedding coordinator. I paid for the engagement photos. $600 to a photographer who spent 3 hours making Lily and Zach look like catalog models. I built their wedding website from scratch. Spent 2 weeks learning WordPress, designing custom graphics, writing copy that made their love story sound like a fairy tale. I created the invitations. 200 custom designs on premium cardstock, because Lily said the generic ones looked cheap. When Mom's credit card got declined at the venue, I put down the deposit. Just temporary, she said, until I sort out this bank nonsense. $2,500. Temporary. I was building their dream, brick by brick, while they fed me leftovers and called me a good sport. The text started about 3 weeks before the wedding. First, it was Aunt Megan. Hey, I heard you're not invited to the ceremony. Is that true? Then Uncle Jeff. Did you say something to Zach's dad? Just curious. Finally, the Facebook post that broke something inside me. Lily had posted a photo, her and Zach with my parents, standing in front of a rustic barn venue lit by fairy lights. The caption read, "So proud of our family. Can't wait for the big day with all the right people by our side." The right people. I wasn't even tagged. I scrolled through the comments, my heart sinking with each one. One of Lily's bridesmaids wrote, "Is Jack going to be there? He was always so funny at family stuff." Made her. Lily's reply made my blood freeze. "We're keeping things small. Just people we trust. Just people we trust." I read those words over and over until they burned into my vision. 27 years of being someone's brother, and I wasn't people they trusted. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every family dinner, every birthday, every time they'd called me selfish for asking to be paid back. And I realized something that should have been obvious years ago. I was the only person in this family who gave without expecting anything in return. And I was the only one who never got anything back. A week later, the group text arrived. "Hi family! Can everyone pitch in for Lily's bridal shower decorations? Jack, since you're so good with websites, can you make a landing page for RSVPs? Hugs and kisses. XOXO." I stared at the message for 10 minutes. Then I didn't reply. 10 minutes after that, Lily messaged me directly. "Can you just do this one thing without being passive-aggressive?" That's when I realized they saw me as a service, not a son. A brother-shaped ATM that dispensed money and favors without question. So I did something else instead. I logged into the wedding venue account, and I requested a refund. Now, technically, the deposit was non-refundable, but I'm detail-oriented. Always have been. And when I'd booked the venue, I'd bought wedding insurance, just in case. It was a tiny checkbox at the bottom of the contract. $147 for family conflict protection. No one noticed. No one cared. Until I filed the claim. Family emergency, irreconcilable differences, unsafe environment. They refunded 90%, $2,250, back in my account within 48 hours. Then I went into Canva and deleted every single design I'd ever made for their wedding. RSVPs, Table assignments, welcome signs, programs, thank you cards. Gone. All of it. Then I created one new file. Titled it, Ask Zach's Dad to Fix This, and shared it with the entire family. But 3 hours later, my phone exploded. Mom called first. Hysterical. What are you doing? Do you know how this looks? I do, I said calmly. That's exactly why I'm doing it. Dad called next. He skipped straight to screaming. You've always been jealous of Lily. That's what this is about. You can't stand her having a better life than you. For the first time in my adult life, I hung up on him. That night, Lily posted a vague Instagram story. Betrayal always comes from those closest to you. #heartbroken #family. Then Mom posted a photo of Lily crying, mascara streaking down her cheeks, with the caption, "Nothing hurts more than your own brother trying to ruin your special day." The messages started pouring in. Friends, cousins, family friends I hadn't spoken to in years. Why would you ruin her wedding? How could you be so selfish? She's your sister. I didn't reply to any of them. What was I supposed to say? That I'd spent $11,000 on a wedding I wasn't invited to? That I'd been their personal bank for years while they treated me like hired help? But then, something arrived that changed everything. A yellow envelope, no return address, left in my mailbox on a Tuesday morning. Inside, printed screenshots of text messages, an internal group chat between Lily and her bridesmaids. My hands shook as I read. We'll get Jack to pay for the cake too, just guilt him about being the only brother. Works every time. Another message, Zach doesn't even like him, lol, says Jack gives him the creeps. And the final nail in the coffin, he won't be at the wedding. I'll make sure of it. Watch. There was a sticky note attached, handwriting I didn't recognize. You deserve better. K. I had no idea who K was, but they just handed me a nuclear weapon. I called the number on the envelope. A woman answered. This is Kristen. You sent me these screenshots. Yes, we need to talk. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Kristen was maybe 35, professional, carrying a laptop bag that looked expensive. I work in digital forensics, she explained. Corporate espionage, divorce cases, that sort of thing. Your sister hired me 2 months ago. Hired you for what? To investigate you. She wanted dirt. Something to justify cutting you out. She was convinced you were unstable, dangerous. She wanted proof. I felt the world tilt. And? Kristen smiled grimly. I found the opposite. Bank records showing you'd given them thousands. Text threads showing you bending over backward to help. And this? She slid a flash drive across the table. Audio recordings from her WhatsApp backups. Audio? Everything. Her talking about manipulating you, laughing about how easy it was, planning to exclude you from the wedding while keeping you paying for it. I picked up the flash drive and felt something cold and final settle in my chest. What do you want for this? Nothing. I don't like being used to hurt innocent people. But Jack, what you do with this, that's up to you. The rehearsal dinner was at some pretentious vineyard 30 minutes outside the city. Rustic luxury, they called it. I called it a marketing scam with overpriced wine and fairy lights stapled to trees. But I showed up, dressed clean, calm, focused. Because I hadn't come to eat. I'd come to bury the circus. I walked in right as they were making toasts. Lily was mid-laugh. Zach had his arm around her. Dad looked uncomfortable in his rented tux. Mom avoided my eyes completely. They didn't expect me to show. That much was obvious. I was supposed to be the villain in their story. The bitter brother who'd ruined everything and couldn't let go. But I wasn't bitter. I was done. I walked straight to the front of the room, past tables of relatives who whispered as I passed. Sorry to interrupt, I said, tapping my fork against a wine glass. Conversations died. Someone chuckled nervously. Lily frowned. I pulled a small Bluetooth speaker from my jacket and placed it on the head table. Then I held up the flash drive. Zach stood up. What are you doing? I looked at him. really looked at him and said, "Giving you exactly what you deserve." I clicked play. Guy. The speaker crackled to life. Crystal clear audio. A girl's voice, laughing. Lily's voice. "We'll get Jack to pay for the cake too. Just guilt him about being the only brother. Works every time." The silence was immediate and complete. Forks stopped moving. Conversations died mid-sentence. Someone gasped. I didn't flinch. Another voice from the speaker. One of the bridesmaids. "Zach doesn't even like him, right? Didn't he say Jack gives him the creeps?" Laughter. Lily's laughter. "Oh my God, yes, he's so weird, but he's useful." Zach went white. Actually white, like someone had drained the blood from his face. Lily lunged for the speaker. I stepped in front of it. "Sit down." It wasn't a request. The final clip played. Lily's voice again, lower this time. Conspiratorial. "He won't be at the wedding. I'll make sure of it. Mom and Dad are on board. We just have to make it look like it's his fault." I hit pause and looked around the room. Any questions? The silence stretched, thick and suffocating. Then my father stood up, his face red with fury. "You think this is appropriate? You think this is how family?" "Sit down." The words came out sharp, final. And for the first time in my life, he actually did. I turned to Lily, who was shaking, mascara already starting to run. "I spent over $11,000 on this wedding," I said, my voice carrying to every corner of the room. "I designed your website, negotiated your venue, paid your florist, covered your engagement photos. I did it because I thought, stupidly, that this was family." Lily opened her mouth to speak. "I'm not finished." She closed it. "But you didn't want a brother. You wanted a wallet. Someone you could manipulate and use and then throw away when it was convenient." I pulled out a manila folder, thick with printed screenshots. PayPal receipts, bank statements, text message threads. I handed it to Zach. "This is what your fiancée really thinks of family. Every lie she told you about me, every dollar she guilt-tripped out of me, every plan she made to cut me out while keeping me paying." Zach stared at the papers, his hands shaking. "You still want to marry her?" I asked. He didn't answer. That's when someone stood up from the back of the room. But a woman in a gray blazer, professional, carrying herself like someone used to courtrooms and depositions. "Hi everyone," she said, walking toward the front. "Sorry to interrupt. I'm Kristen Martinez. I run a digital forensics company downtown." She held up her phone. "Jack asked me to verify some audio files, to confirm they weren't, how do you put it, deepfakes." The room was dead silent. "This audio you just heard, it's 100% authentic. No edits, no splicing, no digital manipulation. Pulled directly from WhatsApp backup files linked to your old phone number." She looked directly at Lily. "I have the metadata, the timestamps, the technical documentation, everything." Mom gasped. Dad's mouth fell open. "Is this some kind of joke?" someone called out. Kristen smiled, but it wasn't friendly. Not even a little bit. That's when everything exploded. Zach turned to Lily, holding up the folder of evidence. "You told me Jack threatened you, that he was unstable, that he said horrible things about our relationship." He gestured to the papers. "You lied. About everything." Lily reached for his arm. "Zach, please. You don't understand. Don't touch me." The words hit her like a slap. Then the room erupted. My aunt jumped up and started yelling at my mother. Someone knocked over a wine glass. Uncle Jeff started shouting questions no one could answer. And through it all, I just stood there. Quiet, calm, Surrey, watching it burn. Todd. When the chaos hit its peak, I raised my voice one last time. "I'm not coming to the wedding." The room went silent again. "But then again, you already made that decision for me. Now you can do it without my money, without my help, and without my silence." I turned to my parents. "You cut me out the moment you realized I wouldn't be your puppet anymore. So now I'm cutting the strings too." I walked toward the exit, past tables full of family members who couldn't meet my eyes. Just as I reached the door, Zach's voice cut through the silence. "I'm calling it off." Loud, clear, final. Lily screamed. A sharp, desperate sound that cut through the air like breaking glass. "You can't do this. Not here. Not like this." I turned back one last time. "Oh," I said, looking directly at her. "He just did." Then I walked out. No dramatic music. No slow motion. Just the sound of everything they'd built, collapsing behind me. Troyes. I didn't go home after the rehearsal dinner. A month earlier, I'd quietly signed a lease on a tiny cottage 3 hours north. Population 600. One diner. One gas station. The kind of place where no one cared who you were or where you came from. I'd paid 6 months up front. Cash. No forwarding address. No digital breadcrumbs. Just quiet. The first 3 days, I didn't turn on my phone. Didn't check emails. Didn't speak to another human being. I sat on the porch with black coffee and listened to birds fight over territory they'd never actually own. For the first time in years, I felt peace. No tension in my neck. No guilt in my chest. No one asking for money or favors or pieces of my soul I couldn't afford to give. On day 4, I walked into town and did something I'd been too ashamed to chase before. I signed up for an archival preservation course at the community college. History and old newspapers. Forgotten letters. Records that told the truth without agenda or manipulation. I volunteered at the county museum. Helped catalog photographs from the 1950s. Fixed an old microfilm machine that had been broken for years. And for once, I didn't care that no one noticed. Because it was mine. Quietly. Completely. Mine. About a week later, the messages started showing up in my old email. I'd left one account active, linked to an emergency phone that stayed turned off. The subject lines told me everything I needed to know. "Can we just talk? You went too far. We're still family." I didn't read them. Didn't need to. Then came the blocked calls. Dozens of them. All from numbers I recognized. They weren't trying to make peace. They were trying to reset the game. What scared them wasn't the evidence I'd shared. It was the silence. They couldn't handle not knowing what I'd do next, because for the first time in my life, they weren't in control. 3 weeks after I disappeared, something interesting happened. A court notice was sent to my old apartment. My father had tried to sell a portion of family property, a cabin upstate that had been in our family for generations. What he didn't realize was that I'd locked the deed 2 years earlier, after he'd accidentally tried to remortgage it without telling me. I had left it sitting in legal limbo, waiting. He triggered the clause himself. The result? His deal collapsed. His buyer walked. And he was hit with a fraud investigation. Not because I made it happen. Because I didn't stop it. I didn't publish a blog. Didn't post a dramatic expose on social media. Didn't send screenshots to the extended family. I just vanished. No birthday calls. No financial rescue missions. No maybe next time. And that was what truly destroyed them. Because narcissists don't fear consequences. They fear irrelevance. They fear a stage with no audience. One morning, about 2 months after the rehearsal dinner, I was walking to the post office in my new town. Small errand. Nothing dramatic. Behind me in line, someone was talking on their phone. I heard Lily's fiancé walked out right before the wedding. Then apparently her brother just disappeared. Took all his money with him. I didn't turn around. Didn't react. I'd never made a statement. Never told my side of the story publicly. I'd simply become unreachable. No address. No phone number. No access. They thought silence meant weakness. They didn't realize it was the most powerful choice I'd ever made. You know what's funny about walking away from people who built their lives on top of you? They don't fall immediately. They just stand there, stunned, like someone turned off the sound and they can't find the volume button. That's exactly what happened. After everything burned, after the rehearsal dinner, after the calls and the silence, they still believed deep down that I'd come back. Because I always had before. But this time was different. I changed my phone number. Not just a SIM swap, new carrier, new area code. No forwarding, no auto-reply, just nothing. I closed the joint account Dad had linked to me for emergencies, redirected my bank statements to a digital vault, updated my medical power of attorney, removed all family names from official documents. I even changed the emergency contact on my driver's license from mom to none. They don't know where I live. They don't know where I work. They don't know if I'm in the state, the country, or even above ground. And that kills them. A month ago, I went back. Just once. Not to the house. Not to the vineyard. I drove by the wedding venue, the one I'd canceled. It was empty. Abandoned. A for sale sign hung crooked on the front gate. Dead flowers were scattered in the gravel parking lot, probably from some other couple's dream day. It felt right. I rolled down my window. The breeze smelled like rain and regret. Before I left, I did one thing. I walked to the mailbox beside the main entrance and slipped in a small envelope. No return address. Inside, a printout of the last invoice I'd paid for their wedding, and a post-it note stuck on top. It read, "Thanks for nothing. Me." I've stopped checking the old email regularly, but every now and then, when I'm feeling nostalgic, I log in just to watch the flood. Unread messages pile up like digital tumbleweeds. One was titled, "Please just talk to us." I didn't open it. Another, "We don't know who you are anymore." That one made me smile. Because finally, they were right. I'm not the person who covered their bills at 3 in the morning. I'm not the emergency contact who dropped everything to solve their problems. I'm not the wedding planner, the free therapist, the invisible sibling, or the guilt-ridden son. I'm just a guy with a different life now. One they can't reach, can't manipulate, can't rewrite. And seal. I got a new mailbox installed last week. Metal. Clean. Secure. One of those locking drop boxes that doesn't let anything back out once it goes in. The technician asked what name I wanted engraved on the nameplate. I thought about it for a moment. "No name," I said. "Just a message." So now, on a little brass rectangle just below the keyhole, it says, "This mailbox does not accept apologies." And you know what? The silence I hear every day now. It's the most beautiful sound in the world. If you're listening to this story, and you see yourself in it, if you're the one always giving, always fixing, always paying, let me tell you something important. Family isn't about blood. It's not about shared DNA or childhood memories or obligation. Real family shows up. Real family includes you. Real family doesn't treat you like a service they can turn on and off when convenient. I spent 27 years believing that love meant sacrifice. That being useful was the same as being valued. I was wrong. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away. Sometimes, silence is the loudest statement you can make. Sometimes, disappearing is the only way to finally be seen. My sister never got her perfect wedding. My parents never got their picture-perfect family tableau. And me? I got something better. I got free. 3 years later. I'm still in my small town. Still working at the museum. Still living a life that belongs entirely to me. Last week, I met someone at the coffee shop. Sarah. She's a teacher. Kind eyes. Genuine smile. When she asked about my family, I told her the truth. I don't have one, but I'm okay with that. She nodded like it made perfect sense. Sometimes, she said, the family you choose is better than the one you're born into. I'm thinking about asking her to dinner. Not because I need someone to complete me. But because I want to share this life I've built. This quiet, honest, manipulation-free life. And if we ever get married, I'll pay for my own wedding. Duh.